Good evening, folks. This is the Bryan Christian Church Wednesday night Bible study. My name is Brian, and I hope you had a good Christmas and a New Year's. And I gave you a couple weeks off. I did preach on Sunday, but I took some Wednesdays off. So let's get right back into this thing. We're talking about the 21 types of Jesus Christ, and we got done with Joseph. That took us a while, but he's a pretty important character in the Bible. Now we're going to go on into Moses, and where we I got to do some rehash here. It's been a couple of weeks, but where we left off was talking about Joseph being a type of the bread of life. He was the second most important man in all Egypt, like Jesus is God the Father, God the Son, number two, most important man in the universe of all creation. But Joseph was number two in all Egypt, Pharaoh being number one, and he interpreted some dreams, and he got to climb the national ladder there and become really important. And he interpreted some dreams to the point where he became in charge of the storehouses because there's a major famine going on. And that's about where we left off. They're now in Egypt, and we're about ready to kick in and start talking about Moses, who's going to be born about this time. He's coming on the scene. He's going to be born. He's going to be introduced to us as a new type of Christ. And 400 years have gone by between Joseph and Moses. Now, how do I know it's been 400 years? Because there's a prophecy given back in Genesis chapter 15. God told Abraham, he said, I'm going to give you a land. I'm going to give you a land forever to your seed. All your kids will be there forever. But until that happens, something else is going to happen. He said, you're going to be going to a strange land. You're going to be strangers in a land. And of course, it wound up being Egypt. And you're going to be slaves in that land, and you're going to be afflicted quite severely for 400 years. But after that, it'll all be over with, and you have your own land, and everything will be fine. So that's what happened. And so the Jews are still in Egypt. The famine is all over with, done and gone. Now God's going to want them to move on into the promised land, which would be Israel, but Satan's going to have nothing to do with that. He will not allow that to happen if he possibly can. So we got Exodus chapter 1. Exodus chapter 1. We're all caught up. Look at verse 7. After 400 years of being in Egypt, waiting for their turn to get out of here, it says this. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. So there's a promise that God gave to Abraham that he said this in Genesis 12. He says, I'm going to make you a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou should be a blessing. So there it is. That's where it happened. So 400 years later, after he told that to Abraham, it happened. The children of Abraham are growing, prospering, getting larger, and multiplying and so on. And he also told that to Jacob in Genesis 45. He says, Jacob, he says, I'm God, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down to Egypt. That's where they went, because that's where the food was at. That's where Joseph, who was a Jew, was in charge of the grain bins. For I will be there and make thee a great nation. So it happened again. So we go on. So the prophecies were fulfilled. But look at verse 8. Something happens. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. Well, yeah, 400 years go by, so a new Pharaoh is going to show up. But why this? I mean, how could he do that? How could a new Pharaoh not appreciate and not know the children of Israel? How did he end up doing that? How did he feel? No, he didn't like them. He didn't know them. And he was ungrateful for what they accomplished for them. And he became a wicked king out of that deal. He felt no ingratitude toward him and Joseph and his family. The Jews did a great job. In fact, there would be no Egypt if it wasn't for Joseph and the Jewish family. Because Joseph was a Jew, and he interpreted those dreams, and he laid out the fact that there was going to be a famine coming, and he saved the known world at that time. So how did this guy feel no gratitude toward the nation of Israel? How about poor history? No history, not getting into history, no history memory. How about erasing history? That's what's happening, I think. They forgot the blessings through Joseph and Israel. Israel just has no favor anymore with this new Pharaoh, with this new king, and we can learn some really strong lessons from this fact right there. In fact, I think we're learning them right now. We as a nation, we have got to teach our children history, especially from the Bible and our own national history. We got to teach our kids biblical and godly principles, okay? But really, what's happening? What's happening in our world right now? What's happening in our country right now? I'm going to share something with you. You know, for any enemy to succeed in the long run, for any enemy to succeed in the long run, it's got to erase their enemy's history. They got to take it away from them. To those who are oppressing, they can't go back. If you're going to oppress somebody, you don't want them to go back to their record books and look up their heroes and how they did things and how they handled things and how great things were back in the good old days, that you remember. You can't let them do that. And then what do? You got to get in there and you got to distort their history. You got to take it away from them. You got to lie. You got to twist the truth. You got to put down on paper what it is that you want them to know, even though if it's a lie and distortion, whatever. You got to tell them what you want them to know. Today, you know what they call that? Cancel culture. That's what we call it today. And that's what's going on right now. We got people out there erasing America's history, taking it away from us, just like they did here in Egypt. This tactic is nothing new. Hitler did it. He took away all the history and all the things that made a Jew what they were, their cultural and their history and their art and things like that. In fact, there was a movie about it, and I'm the last guy that wants to recommend watching a movie that comes from Hollywood. But there was a movie, and it's got John Goodman in it and Matt Damon, and it's called The Monument Men. And it's a movie about how these two guys, or a team of Americans, want to try to save all kinds of historical artifacts and artwork from Hitler burning them and tearing them up to get rid of the Jewish history. You're going to wipe out a nation, you got to take away their past. Don't let them even know they even existed anymore. Okay? You don't let them know what their past is all about. And I think that's what's going on in America right now. And the New World Order, it's coming on. It's going to happen. Okay? The Bible says it's going to happen. The New World Order, headquartered in New York City, otherwise known as the United Nations, and their agenda is called the Agenda 2030, or also called the Agenda 2023. I think they want to bump it up at 7 years. They want to get this thing going. What are they going to do? They cannot succeed. The New World Order cannot succeed unless all nations of the world turn into socialism and or communism. Okay, they just can't do it. They can't have Christianity as a live means of faith. It just doesn't work. They got to get rid of it. No Christianity of any kind. So they got to eliminate, or they got to change all historical things and that's made this country great ever since 1776. Some of the things they've been doing, okay, they took out prayers in school, you know that. They took down the Ten Commandments off the walls. They don't want any kids from now on knowing anything about God. And believe you me, I'm a pastor of a church, they don't, okay? We get kids that come to church on vacation Bible school, and they don't know anything. They're not being taught. Everything's being erased. History's being erased. Satan's plan is to erase history, distort it, tear down our monuments, rewrite history books, shut down churches and institutions, then substitute it with his agenda, which is what? Evolution, philosophy, psychology, false religion, and so on. You know what else he's trying to make us do? Make us hate our military. Okay? Make us hate the very backbone of America. And without the military, we wouldn't be around. That's what's made us great. Trying to turn our backs and have no gratitude towards our military, hate our police officers, people who have formed this country, made it is what it is. It's a great country, or it was. It's heading toward a decline, though. And we're having some things where they're working on some things to get us to go against the things that made us great. And they're going to try anything that's going to work, to try to take us away. Politics, man, what a split there is in America on that. Race, big split. Sexual orientation, everybody's got their idea about that. Distribution of wealth. And now, the biggest one is health. Man, we are split on the health issue. Jab or no jab, shot or no shot. COVID-19, the crown jewel of viruses. Crown jewel, corona means crown, okay? So that's what we got going. He erased history. He took it away. This Pharaoh doesn't know the Jews. He's not grateful toward them because he doesn't know his history. He got it erased. And he might have been the one that erased it. Now, what's he going to do? Look at verse 9. And he said unto the people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when they falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Deal wisely. That's not going to happen. If you're not in Christ, you don't have anything to deal wisely about. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians 3:19, For the wisdom of the world is foolishness unto God. For it is written, He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. We got 1 Corinthians 1:19, God says, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise and bring to nothing the understanding of the prudent. Okay? You're not going to deal wisely against God's people. There's no way you're going to get one over on them. You just can't do it. And who said, that's a lie. Who said these guys were going to go against Egypt if they got big and strong? Okay? These are good folks. That's a big lie. Nobody said that. So let's just go ahead and destroy them anyway. Let's wipe them out anyway. Now, look at number 2 here. Look at number 2. Or it could be number 2, number 1. Number one thing they're going to do, and Satan keeps following the same pattern. I think let's just make it number 2. Let's make number 1, erase history. Take away your enemy's past so they don't know where they're going, okay? Take away their past. Don't let them remember the good old days. The second thing Satan's going to do, what's he going to do? Look at verse 11 and 13 through 13. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. Plan number 2. Okay, after he erases your history, then he does what? He puts affliction on you. He oppresses you. The plan was to destroy the Jews by oppression, by slavery, trials and tribulations, okay? What do we have going on today? Same thing. We got the cancel culture out there wiping out our past, and now what are they doing? They're trying to oppress us through all the things. We're losing our jobs, okay? We have mandates, unemployment, businesses are closing, hardships. People don't know where their next mortgage payment is going to come from. And if people aren't willing and able to work, you know what? They are not willing. They don't want to. They're able, but they're not willing. Some folks are just staying home. They're getting paid more by the government to stay home than they are to go to work. So guess what? There could be a famine caused by our own laziness. Not by bad weather, not by no rain, not by locusts or whatever. We could be causing our own famine just because we don't want to unload those cargo ships. We don't want to drive a truck. We don't want to, fill the shelves in stores full of goods and services that we need, okay? A famine can happen anyway. We got mandates. You got to wear a mask. You don't have to. People arguing about it. We're being oppressed. We're being afflicted. Okay, we're putting some hardships put upon us after they erased our history. Schools are being closed. Events are being closed. It's horrible out there. And there's some other things that I think are going to cause oppression that are going to happen real soon here. I read some things today. There's 951 detention centers or detention buildings in America, and there's nobody in them. Yet they're letting prisoners out of jails early. Criminals aren't going to jail. They're letting criminals out of jail, convicts out, to make more room, yet we got 951 empty detention centers. We're making more room for who? Who are going to go to these detention centers? All you got to do is look at the news and watch Australia, Australia, the Netherlands. They're throwing people in jail right and left because of this COVID thing. Something's happening. Here's another thing. China has now hoarding 50% of the world's grain. 50%. Now, in the world of fighting, I'm not a fighter, but I know some guys like to talk about it. They tell me that when you learn how to fight, you don't want to telegraph what you're doing. Well, China certainly is telegraphing to the world something is coming on. They are shaking and something's happening. They have stored, somehow, I don't know how they did it, but they have 50% of the world's grain hoarded in their country right now. Something's coming on. They know it, so we just got to keep an eye on them. Some other things, I heard this, please correct me. I just can't imagine this being true. I just heard this today. 45% of all money that's been printed has been, in U.S. history, has been printed in the last 12 months. That just blows me away. I can't believe that. I heard it from a really good source. 45% of all money that's been printed in United States history has been printed in the last 12 months. That's got to cause some problems. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the economy and banking and all that kind of stuff, but that just doesn't sound right. That's got to turn south here real soon. I just can't imagine that's going to be any good. So anyway, and you know what? Here's the thing. Here's what's happening. People want to get back to normal so bad. I just want things to get back to normal. You know what's going to happen? They want to be back to normal so bad that they're going to be willing very easily to take the mark of the beast just to get back to normal. And I think that's exactly where we're headed. That's where we're headed. Oppression and hardships and famine and so on. And so you got, what do you got? Erasing history. You got affliction. Look at these ladies. Look what he's done here. He's made them, in verse 14, he made their lives bitter and hard bondage, in mortar and brick, and all manner of service in the field, all their service wherein they made their serve with rigor. Then, look at this. Here it is. I think this is going to be plan number 2 or plan number 3, however you want to look at it. And the king, that would be Pharaoh of Egypt, spake to the Hebrew midwives. Okay, the nurses, the doctors, the medical professionals. He spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the one was Shiphrah, and the other one was named Puah. Shiphrah means fair or beauty. Puah means splendor. So these are good-looking nurses, okay, inside and out. And you know what he tells them? Here's what Pharaoh tells them. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife, when you're a nurse and you're sitting there waiting for a baby to come out, okay, the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, okay, that would be like the stirrups. If it be a son, a boy, a male, whatever, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. Okay, but if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Plan number 2, or unless you want to count the one about race and history being, so this would be plan number 3, all right? Plan number 3, Satan doesn't change. He keeps the same order all the time. Erase history, cause affliction, and now using people to kill other people. To kill. What's he trying to do? Here's the big picture. Okay, I'm going to give you the little picture in America here in just a second. Here's the big picture. Kill all the boys, Hebrew boys. Pharaoh is trying to destroy the seed line that's going to lead to the Messiah one of these days. He doesn't know when Jesus is going to be born. So if he kills all the males, there's a big chance maybe Jesus won't be born. What am I talking about? Genesis 3:15, the very first prophecy in the Bible. I've gone over this so many times. It is key, though, for you to understand everything you need to understand about the Bible. Genesis 3:15, a curse was put upon the devil, the serpent. It says, and I, says God, will put enmity, deep hatred, and abomination between thee, you serpent, and the woman. That would be Eve at the time. And between thy seed, the serpent seed. You mean little snakes? Yeah, that's a little bit deeper than that. All right? Between thy seed and her seed. So this woman is going to have a seed. Okay? What's this seed going to do? The seed shall bruise thy head. That's going to hurt. But thou, you serpent, shall bruise his heel. He'll recover. Okay? Christ rose again on the 3rd day. He'll recover. And he did. But you're not going to come back from that head wound. Goliath died of a head wound. Saul died of a head wound. Caesarea died of a head wound. A lot of types of Antichrist died of a head wound. Satan understands this prophecy. And I'm telling you, if you can get this thing down, you will understand world history, biblical history. You'll understand the Bible so much more. I'm going to tell you this. There's no greater story that you need to understand than the gospel of Jesus Christ. Okay? Put that off the side. Once you got that down, man, I would get right in there and start digging out this Genesis 3:15. If you understand this, you will understand a lot there is that's going on in this world. Very important. Let me give you some examples here. Okay, Cain and Abel, twins. Cain was the bad one. Abel was the good one. Cain killed Abel. Where'd you get that idea? Satan. Okay, you got to kill the seed line. Get rid of the seed line. And then Seth comes along. You got to be born again, okay? God throws that in there. But then Cain, what's he do? He names his boys the same names that Seth names his kids to try to confuse the seed line so you can't keep track of who's who. But then Noah comes around. Guess what happened during Noah times? Boy, a huge thing happens. The fallen angels start habitating with the daughters of men, having sex, coming out with kids, and now they're tainting the seed line. If I can get rid of human beings, there won't be any Messiah that's going to show up. There's going to be not that son that's going to show up. And then we got the promises given to Abraham. What did he say? Abraham, I'm going to make you a great nation. Satan doesn't like that. Abraham, not only am I going to make you a great nation, your kids, your seed will be in that land. Oh, I don't like that, says Satan. And then all of a sudden, the third promise, Abraham, not only will you be a great nation, not only will your seed will be in the land, but they'll be in the land for all eternity, forever. Oh, now Satan's got a challenge. If I can kill all those Hebrew boys, that means I'll get the Messiah out of the way, and he can't bruise my head, And if all the Jews are dead and they're not in the land at the end times and they can't live in the land forever, then God's a liar and I win, because God cannot lie. And if I can get God to lie, I'm the winner. I'll get that seed line ruined. I'll get the Messiah out of the way. I'll get them Jews out of the way. And he's been trying to kill Jews ever since. Hey, let me take you somewhere. Here's a New Testament. It's not a prophecy. It is a prophecy, but it actually gives it history, and it's a prophecy. But in Revelation 12, this is pretty good. Here it says, John, he wrote in Revelation, he says this, in Revelation 12:1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven. I'll get back to that in a second. A woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven. And behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew a third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child who was going to rule the nations with a rod of iron. And of course, that's Jesus Christ. Now, just to look at this thing as it is, that's probably Eve. It's Mary giving birth to Jesus Christ. And Satan sitting there waiting to destroy that thing. Remember Herod tried to kill all the little Jewish boys 2 years or younger in Bethlehem, all that kind of stuff. Satan has always been right there trying to kill that child. He's the dragon, the great red dragon, and he's trying to kill that. And it's probably, I'm guessing, I know for a fact, that the woman with the 12 stars clothed in the sun and the moon, that's Israel. Because it goes on to talk about this woman gets protected, and it just the more clues that Revelation gives, the more it's probably going to be Israel. And Israel is God's wife, giving birth to the Messiah, Jesus Christ, who's going to be the Savior of the world. Now, that's just the prophecy part. Now, listen, here's what really happened. It says there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and she had 12 stars on her head. You know what? September 23rd, in the year 2017, you looked up in the sky. If you were anybody who likes to study the stars and whatever, and there's people who professionally do that, there's doctors that do that, people who have their masters in doctrine, they do that. They look up there, and there's a constellation called the Virgo, and it's a virgin. And you look at her, and all the time, this constellation has 7 stars. Well, all of a sudden, on September 23rd, 2017, 12 stars lined up. You know how the universe spins around? 12 stars were on top of her head. And then all of a sudden, the planet Jupiter, and the moon was on her feet, just like this said, and the sun was down there too. Okay, Jupiter came into the womb part, the belly part of this constellation called the Virgo, the Virgin, and it ricocheted in that area for 41 weeks. That's a little bit more than usual, a woman's usual gestation period, but that thing bounced around. And then it came out, what looked like, if you look through a telescope, it looked like it came out down the birth canal. And at the end of her feet, when Jupiter came out after 41 weeks, the constellation of the dragon was there waiting to take Jupiter. And it looked like what this was describing. Is that a sign? You bet it is, okay? That's been wanting to happen for a long time. You know when the last time that happened? If you get on your computer, and I can't do it, but other people have, they go back, that happened 5,934 years ago. So this thing doesn't line up very often. The woman having 12 stars and Jupiter ricocheting around in her womb and coming out, and the dragon being between her feet ready to devour Jupiter. Okay, that happened 5,934 years ago. That was about the time Adam and Eve were created. Did God show them that and say, hey, that's going to happen again down the road? Okay, I just threw that in there because that is a prophecy about how Satan wants to get rid of the Messiah because he doesn't want to get the head wound. And you know the rest of the story. Haman's another character. We talked about him. One Jew wouldn't bow down to him, and he made a rule in Persia, in the Medes and Persians, he was the second most important man in the Medes and Persians. And Antichrist, number 2, Satan, Antichrist, false prophet. The second most important man in the Medes and Persians made a law that anybody who didn't bow down to him would be hung in the gallows and one Jew wouldn't do it. Well, that's a picture of Jesus Christ not bowing down to Satan. When Satan offered him that part of his life to bow down to him, he'll give him all the kingdoms of the world back there in Matthew 4 and Luke chapter 4. It didn't happen. Not going to happen. And so, here's another one. Let's just look at this real quick here. In Isaiah 9, verses 6 is, "For unto us a child is born." That's Jesus, about Christmas time. "Unto us a son is given." That would be Jesus at Easter. "And the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. And the increase of his government there should be no end." Okay, if there's no Messiah, then there's no Israel government. And it says, "And upon the throne of David." If Satan can get rid of all the males, then David doesn't show up. And there will be no throne of David. Okay? "And upon his kingdom to order and to establish it in judgment and justice henceforth even forever." If Satan can get rid of all the Jewish males and then get all the Jewish women to intermarry with other religions and other ethnic groups and so on, it'll just water down the Jews and he'll win. And he's been trying it ever since. He wants to get rid of the Jews, particularly the males. But he's not going to get it done. And he got kicked out of heaven back there in Ezekiel 28 and described for you in Isaiah 14. He wanted to rule heaven, and he got kicked out of heaven. Then he got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. And he's trying to get you and I kicked out of this world through getting rid of the Jews. A lot of things going on there. Now, back to our story. These two ladies, these two midwives, these two nurses, I want you to see something here. Let's get back to our story talking about the heroism of these two ladies. Now, before we do that, do you see what's happening here? Okay? Think about what's going on in America right now. We got groups out there trying to erase our history. We got groups out there trying to oppress us, whether it be financially or making us slaves in any other way they can, giving us hardships, famine, whatever, man-made famine, believe it or not. I know there's been fires on the West Coast and droughts here and there. And Brazil had a horrible one, and Iowa had some winds that knocked down a lot of corn. That's going to cause a problem. Don't think it won't. I know that, but man, the real famine is our own man-made famine by not unloading those cargo ships. But think about this. Stop and think about what's going on here. The government right here is telling the medical professionals of their day, they want them in on the population control and the extermination of the Jewish race. And the Jewish midwives are doing it themselves. Think about that, okay? The government is telling the medical professionals to get rid of these people. Trim down the people. Population control. Think about it. It's legal. The government has told these ladies it's legal to kill these babies. What do we have going on in America right now? Wow, think about it. I don't even have to mention it. I shouldn't have to mention it. It's government policy to kill these little baby boys. And we got a lot of that going on right now in America. That's a plan of Satan. Let me tell you that right now. It's government thinking to involve the medical and the scientific industry to get rid of the world of the unwanted. Hitler did it. Hitler had all kinds of medical scientists and lab workers inventing all kinds of gases and making things to do what? Exterminate the Jews, gas them in the gas chambers, the unwanted. Have you seen this verse in the Bible? Man, if you haven't, get your pen and paper out, flip it over there, make sure you understand this. Revelation 18:23. Listen to this. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by their sorceries were all nations deceived. Let's break that down. Revelation 18:23, that's a book and a chapter at the end of the world, at the end of the church age, right before Christ comes back. The Bible wrote this, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth. Well, who are the great men of the earth? If this was written for right now, let's just hypothetically say that it is. Let's say this verse is written for our time that we're living in now. Who are the great men? Oh, you got Bill Gates. You got Facebook boy, you got the Amazon boy, you got the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. You got a lot of great men out there, okay? And they're all merchants. But get this, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For by their sorceries, that word sorceries in the Greek is pharmakia, which is where we get our word pharmacy, which is where we get our word drugs, which is where we get the word big pharma that he keeps hitting the papers all the time. Think about it. We're all nations deceived. The big, hotshot, great men of the earth who are merchants selling their stuff, making everybody buy their stuff. And what were they selling? Pharmacies, pharmaceutical stuff. What have we got going on right now? Okay, I looked at that years ago and I thought, oh, that's pot and heroin and cocaine. All the nations were deceived. What is causing the most deception, the most chaos ever in my life? This COVID. You got people, mask, no mask, jab, no jab, 3 jabs, no jabs. Get out of my store. You can't buy here. You got to have a passport. It's causing, I don't care what your policy is. I don't care what jab, non-jab, okay, card, no card, passport, whatever. You got to admit this. It's causing hatred, chaos, destruction, okay? It's causing all kinds of things. That's exactly what Satan wants. And he did a good job. And these guys that are doing it, they're doing it for the money. A lot of it. You may think, well, we're trying to help people. Yeah, okay, trying to help people. Yeah, all right. Let's move on. Look at verse 17. But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children alive. They didn't do it. They didn't want to do it. Look at verse 18. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said to them, why have you done this thing and have saved the men child alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Therefore God dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass, when the midwives feared God, that he made them houses. Let's talk about that for a second. These midwives, the professional people here, they didn't want to do it. Now here's the thing. They were also, Pharaoh, an Egyptian, came to Hebrew nurses, midwives, and said, you're going to kill your own people. And they go, well, that's not right. Well, what's going on in America right now? Okay, we are a house divided. We don't seem to have other countries want to invade us because, you know what? The Second Amendment, and that's my belief, it may be a little bit on the old school side, but I think it's true. Nobody wants to come to invade America because we all have guns. I know guys like just within a couple of houses here, they got 100 guns in their house, locked and ready to go. I mean, shells in there, loaded and ready to go. That's just a couple of people I know. All Americans like that. A lot of them are. So guess what? Satan can't get America to get blown up by other people. So guess what? We're going to implode our own selves, cause havoc, hardships, hatred, ratting people out, getting mad at somebody, jab or no jab, and all that kind of stuff. We are imploding. We are a house divided. And Jesus says a house divided can't stand. Abe Lincoln said that, I think, and Jesus Christ basically said that. You can't be divided on these issues and stand. We're gonna cause our own doom. And these Hebrew ladies, they were smart. We're not going to kill our own people. We fear God. No, wait a minute. How did they fear God? It's been 400 years that they've been living in Egypt. Egypt doesn't have God. They have gods. They got goddesses. Egypt has Ra and Osiris and Isis and Set and all these other gods. They got hundreds, maybe even thousands of gods. There in verse 17, it says they feared God, capital G. That means our God, my God, Israel's God. They feared that God. Where did they get this? You know what they got it? They kept their history. 400 years. They've been in a land that's not theirs. They were strangers, but they kept their own history. They taught their children the true God. Egypt wants to try to take that away from them. Luckily for them, they passed their legacies, they passed their traditions and their culture and their beliefs and their faith down to their kids. We are failing at that. Our churches are declining. The one I is not, but a lot of churches around me are. falling apart. We're not teaching our kids to love God. They're not going to church. These ladies did. And they didn't do what Pharaoh told them to do. They disobeyed. And God did what? Gave them houses. That word houses there means the whole thing. Families, homes, cars, jobs, food on the table. He gave them everything. He rewarded them for doing what was right, not killing babies. Okay? It doesn't get any easier than that. Now look at plan number 3. Look at plan number 3. We got enough time here? Yeah, we have enough time. Look at plan number 3. Verse 22. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born you shall cast into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive. Kill the men. I can't have that Messiah ever show up. Kill all the boys, save the women. Throw them in the river, all the people. Plan number 3 or number 4, however you want to look at it. Let's rehash here. Erase history, affliction and hardships and oppression. Kill babies, get rid of them. And then if that doesn't work, all people, anybody can now, it's now legal for anybody to kill the people that I want killed. It's legal now. I don't want any Jew boys around. Everybody, Jews, anybody can now kill these folks. Get rid of them. Throw them in the river. Okay? There's the mode of capital punishment right there. Or execution or murder. However you want to look at. Plan number 3 is have not just the midwives, not just the medical professionals. Now everybody can do it. You know where I'm going with this? Look up some videos over there in Australia and Austria and the Netherlands. It is frightening. It is horrifying to see how the people are turning on everybody. Everybody now can just, if somebody doesn't have a COVID card, you can just, they're getting thrown into jail, and people are getting beat up in the streets. Riots are breaking out. It's a mess. America just had that not too long ago. I think in some places they still are. Okay? It's illegal now to kill anybody. You think that's not going to happen in America? Come on now. Okay? Do I even have to mention China? Okay? Do I even have to mention China? They're doing it. They've been doing it for a long time. You cannot be a Christian in China. They will kill you. They find a Bible in your possession, you're dead. They find some software, an app, a Bible app on your phone. They grab your phone from you. The police walk around and grab your phone. If they see a Bible app on there, you're dead. People are killing everybody. Man, that should go without saying about China. But if we move on, let's move on a little bit. Let's talk about Moses. Now that's it. That's all I want to say. Satan has the same plan over and over and over again. Do you know how it goes? It goes like this. Take away people's past so they don't know where they're going, so they don't know who they are. If you don't know who you are, it doesn't matter, right? I'll be anybody you want me to be. I'll take the mark. I'll do this. I'll walk around like a zombie if I don't know where I've come from, if I don't have any history, if I don't have any culture, if I don't have any past. So take that away. Got to get rid of that. Then put affliction on them, hardship. Make them work, labor, okay? Give them hard times, depressed, oppressed, and so on. And then come in for the big blow and start putting out family members, particularly the fathers. If there's no man in the house, man, it's tough to raise a family without a man in the house. And man, Satan has done a good job. Well, we got generations of children who don't know who their fathers are. Satan's done a good job in that area. And then, of course, just start killing people. Doesn't matter. Okay? You're not obeying the law. You're not complying to the government. You're not giving in to socialism or communism. You're no good anyway. Adios. See you later. Good riddance. We need population control anyway. You got to dwindle things down. It's out there. Look it up. Agenda 2030. Look it up. Oh, it's written so it sounds sweet, but you get in there and dig that thing up, and it's some horrifying things, man. Communism, socialism, they're going to have their way. Let's go ahead and stop there. All right, I've given you enough to think about. We're going to talk about Moses. Little Moses is going to be born next week, all right, on our Wednesday night Bible study. He is a type of Jesus Christ. And I'm not telling you these things to scare you into Christianity. I'm just forewarning you. You can watch the news just like I can. You can see with your own eyes and you can think with your own brain Something's not right. Something's amiss. I don't get it. What is going on here? Is it going to get any better in 2022? No, it's not. It's not. I know, hey, I try to be an optimist, but sometimes you just got to be a Bible believer and realize that the closer we get to Christ coming back, the worse it's going to get. And the closer that the Antichrist wants to take over and control you and ruin your life and try to get you to go to hell, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. All you got to do is trust in Jesus Christ. If you're a believer in the Lord Jesus Christ, you read this Bible and you have full faith and trust in Him, you know what, folks? You're fine. You're going to be good. But I know this. Everybody I'm talking to, that I said you're fine because you believe in Jesus, you are fine. But you know what? You have friends, you have family members, you have sons and daughters that may not be saved, you have neighbors. It's time to get the word out. It's time to say, hey, watch the news. Let me show you some Bible prophecy. Let me show you what I was taught in Exodus chapter 1 of Satan's plan. Here's how it goes. And look at America. It's happening exactly just like that. And there's some, discrepancies there, here and there. But for the most part, that's Satan's plan. He sticks to it. One of these days, he thinks it's going to work. And right now, it looks like it kind of is. But if you're in Christ, you're okay. I think the rapture's coming up. That's my belief. A lot of folks think the rapture is going to be later on. I think it's coming up. If not, it doesn't matter. The Bible completely says if you're a believer in Jesus Christ, He will protect you. Either He raptures us out or He protects us. He's put His protective hand on us in the tribulation, in these horrible times, and we're all going to be safe. So just put your faith and trust in Christ. If you're not a Christian and you go, man, I don't know what to do, here's what you do. You tell Jesus that you're a sinner. You can't get to heaven on your own. You want to be a Christian. You want to put your faith and trust in Him and only in Him. Nothing else. No other religion. No other guru. No other counselor. No other politician. Nothing. You, Jesus, I want you to be my personal one-on-one Lord and Savior. I believe that you died on the cross to save me from my sins. I believe that they took you down and put you in the tomb. I believe that you rose again bodily, physically, spiritually, all those things up from the tomb. And you shed your blood for me, and you saved me from my sins. You paid the wages of sin. I didn't have to, Lord, because I can't. I can't be good enough. Lord, will you do it? Will you save me? Man, He will, if it's from your heart. Confess with your mouth, believe in your heart. I recommend you do it pretty quick because I think things are coming down the wire. Things aren't looking good. 2022, I don't know. We'll see. I hope it turns out great, but you know what? I'm a Bible believer, and it doesn't sound too good. But keep your chin up, believe in Jesus Christ, and fight the good fight. Go all the way. Make it to the end, all right? We'll see you. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next week. Moses next week, all right? Thanks.